Hi class, in this video I'm going to go over the last topic, topic 12, the demand for resources. All right, so everything else we look at before, look at the demand supply for the individual good and product that's on the product market. So remember we learned in the very early chapter, the very first chapter, we learned the circular flow diagram, right? So there's the product market and there's the resource market. So today we'll look at the demand for resources. So first know what is called a marginal revenue product. So this just tells you that let me show you the definition. So marginal revenue product is the additional revenue generated as a result of utilizing one more unit of variable resources. So another thing about it, your marginal revenue product, you can just think about it like this. How much more revenue can one more worker, one more labor produce? That's called a marginal revenue product. So by hiring one more worker, how much extra revenue can this one worker produce? That's called marginal revenue product. Now, obviously, there can be other resources as well. You can think about the computers, you can think about trucks, you can think about one more building. So just how much extra revenue can one more input generate? That's called marginal revenue product. Now, the formula is very simple. It's your change in total revenue over change in quantity of resources. This is very similar to the formula for marginal revenue, right? For marginal revenue, again, that's on the actual production side. This is the actual produced. This is the before it's produced, right? So this is the resources. That's why I had this little extra term called this extra term called the resources, right? So it's a change in total revenue over change in quantity of resources. All right, so let's look at this table here. So to find the marginal product, that's how much extra output you can produce. So find the marginal product, just find the change in your total product, and that is your marginal product. By the way, total product, that's your total production. Okay, so this is your total production. This is the additional production. So the additional production is just the change in total productions. So from 0 to 100 is 100, and then 150 to 100 is 50. So the difference between every level, that's your marginal production. And then the product price, that's how much you can sell this good for. So your total revenue, use your product price times total product, that's your total revenue. So 4 times 0, 0, 4 times 100, 400, 4 times 150, 600. So that's your total revenue. And lastly, the marginal revenue product. We're going to use the change in total revenue over the change. Now in this case will be labor here. Okay, so change in labor. So change in total revenue is the difference between each level. And then change in labor, luckily, they all changing by 1. So this entire, the difference on this side divided by 1, that's your marginal revenue product, right? So the difference from 0 to 400 is 400. Difference from 400 to 600 is 200. And then 6 to 700 is 100. So the change in the total revenue divided by labor, that is your marginal revenue product. So that means by hiring one more worker, how much extra revenue can a one worker produce? That's called a change in marginal revenue product. All right, next, know something called a marginal revenue cost. This is very similar to what you learned before. This is the marginal cost of additional resource. The marginal cost of additional resource. So this is how much it costs you to hire one more worker, how much it costs you to purchase one more computer, how much it costs you to rent one more building. So the marginal cost of additional resources. All right, so for different resources, different cost. So for land, it's called rent. For labor, it's called wage. For capital, because you borrow the money, more than likely, that's called interest. And then for entrepreneurship, that's profit or losses. That's the payment for those resources. Now, for definition for marginal revenue cost is the additional cost of incurred as a result of utilizing one more unit of variable resources. So again, it's just how much it costs you to purchase one more unit of input cost. So labor, computers, buildings. So how much extra will cost you to buy one more? And then the formula is also very simple. This is just your change in total resource cost over the change in quantity of resources. All right, so let's look at this table here. So the marginal revenue, resource cost. Again, this is the change in total cost over change in resources. Now, in this case, our resource is labor, so change in labor. Now, the every level here, luckily again, the change in every level is just 1. But guys, be careful. Sometimes this is 1. Sometimes this might be other numbers. So make sure be careful. Okay, because if it's other numbers, you need to do the actual dividing. Okay, but since it's 1, it doesn't matter anymore. Everything divided by 1 is 1. And then next, we're going to find out what is our change in labor cost. So that will be just the difference between every level. All right, so for the first level, from 0 to 60 is 60, divided by 1 is 60, and then 60 to 120 is 60, divided by 1 is also 60, and this entire column here is all 60. Okay, so that's how much it costs you to hire one more worker. That's your marginal resource cost. All right, and then next, know what's the resource demand. So resource demand, you know what, if you want to know what this is, let's run it another way. So all right, so it's a demand of resources. Okay, so resource demand, just demand for resources. Okay, now let me show you a plot over here. So if you plot your labor and then along with the marginal revenue product, so the one we just did before in this table here, so the labor column and then the marginal revenue product column, if you graph that, it looks like something like this. Does this look familiar to you, right? Does this look like the demand curve you've seen before? Is that something going downward sloping? So the graph of your marginal revenue product is the demand curve for resources. Okay, so again, the demand for resources is just the marginal revenue product curve. They're very similar. So once you put the demand for labor, and then for company, they want to know how many people actually hire. So what you want to do, so this is also a question of demand supply, and then the intersection will determine how many people company will hire. But the demand for labor, that's the marginal revenue product, and then the supply for labor, that will be the marginal resource cost. And then the intersection here will determine how many labor will be hired, and then what is the wage that will be paid out. Now, so we have 3 levels of resource cost over here. So this is also seeing this as the wage cost. Okay, so for the first level, wage cost 60, second level, wage cost 100, and third level, wage cost 200. Now notice that the quantity is also different here. So when wage cost is 60, our quantity is only 4. Well, that means when the wage is low, company hire more people. But when the wage cost is 100, then our quantity is 3. So company hire less people when the wage goes higher. Well, that's just this law of demand, right? All right. So for any company who try to get the optimal resource utilization, so to get the most of everything, they're gonna set. Oh man, what happened here? Everything was here fine, and this is all shifted. Can I bring it over? Oh, just want that one slide. Okay. I can deal with that. All right. So sorry guys, this graph is a little cut off. So for anybody who try to get the most of the resources, you want to set where the marginal revenue cost is equal to the marginal revenue product. Remember that this marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. That's what it is. Okay, so that's what you do when you try to get the most of your resources. So for this chapter, all your answers coming from this one intersection, where the marginal resource cost equal to marginal revenue product. Okay. Now there are three determined for resource demand. So there are demand for good and service of the resource used to produce, productivity, and also the price of another resources. So first, the demand for good and service that the resource used to produce. So think like this. Think like that. Suppose I have a restaurant, okay, and my restaurant, and the only thing I produce is chicken fried rice. I don't produce anything else, and I'll hire my chef or hire my employees. So labor for chicken fried rice, and these people, they are my chicken fried rice specialist, okay, they can make very good chicken fried rice. All right, so let's suppose that there is a higher demand for chicken fried rice. So chicken fried rice is getting very popular. Everybody all want it. What happens? The price of the chicken fried rice actually increases. Now, when the price of the chicken fried rice increases, remember that your marginal revenue product is equal to the marginal revenue. Marginal product times the price of the good, right? So if your price of the good increases, then the marginal revenue product also increases. That means for each additional worker, for each additional chicken fried rice specialist, the higher, they can produce more revenue for the company. Now, what would that do? That will increase my demand for my chicken fried rice specialist. So demand for labor for chicken fried rice also increases. Okay, so that's one determinant for resource demand. So the demand for labors for chicken fried rice depends on the demand for chicken fried rice. So if everybody all want chicken fried rice, then of course company will hire more laborers for chicken fried rice. So this demand for chicken fried rice is also known as the derived demand. So not a direct demand for chicken fried rice labor, but this demand for chicken fried rice labor, so people who produce chicken fried rice, actually depends on the demand for chicken fried rice they produce. So it's called a derived demand. So a type of demand specifically to resources that occurs as a result of demand for the goods and services produced by those resources. So the demand for labors depends on the demand for the product they produce. Okay, so next, productivity. So this is how productive my labors are. Now again, let's look at our marginal revenue product. So this is how much each additional resource can generate revenue for the company, so actual revenues. So this again equals to marginal product. Terrible handwriting. Marginal product, that's how much actually they produce, times the price. Now productivity just means how productive you are. If you have a higher productivity than your marginal product, so this is then your marginal product is higher. That means you can produce more additional output, right? So marginal product is higher, then of course your marginal revenue product is higher too. So by increasing your productivity, we're increasing the marginal revenue product, which means each additional labor is more productive. So demand for those resources also goes higher. Now, there are three ways to improve your productivity. So more use of other resources. So let's say you want to improve productivity for labor, then use more capital. Okay. And then next is better quality of those resources. So better trained employee or high quality computers. So that's better qualities. And lastly is technological improvement. So with better technology in the companies, of course, everything else becomes more productive. One comparison you can think about. How do I say this? if you guys watch NBAs, watch basketballs, if a team has a very good point guard, people like Steve Nash or Chris Paul, they're very good point guards, right? So what they do, they're making all the other position players looks better. So your center looks better, your small forward looks better, power forward looks better, right? And your shooting guard looks better because this point guard can distribute the ball better. Now this point guard, that is your technology. So if you can improve your technology, you can also improve the productivity of your other resources, right? So that is your productivity. That's your technology improvement. Okay. So next, we talk about this already. Last one is the price of other resources. So more than often, company have a choice. I can use one resource to produce this chicken fried rice. I can also use other resources to produce chicken fried rice. So the little review. So know what's a substitute. Substitute means goods and service or resources can be viewed as replacement for one another. So imagine instead of hiring more labor for chicken fried rice, then I'll hire more computers. So robot to produce chicken fried rice. So if the computer price is cheaper now, so imagine there's a new system out there that they can new computer system they can produce chicken fried rice, and those computer system today is cheaper. Now what would I do? Then the company will tend to use more computers, and which means demand for labor goes down, right? So these two arrow here goes hand in hand. So the substitute resource price increases instead. So computer getting more expensive, then company use less computers, and then demand for labor goes up. And then vice versa, if the price for computers goes down, then company use more computers, then demand for labor goes down as well. Now the next one is called complement. It's the other one. That means goods and service or resources that's used together with one another as a bundle. So think about this as the truck. This oh, this it looks even worse. A truck. How is that better? They're a truck and truck drivers. Right, they're hired together, right? So imagine the price for truck increases. Well, the company need to buy less trucks, which means the demand for truck driver goes down. Now, vice versa, if your price for truck goes down, then demand for truck driver goes up, right? So for complement, you do see the arrows in opposite directions. So complementary resource price increases, so truck getting more expensive, then the demand for truck driver goes down. And then if your truck getting cheaper, then the demand for truck driver goes up. So these two arrows are in opposite directions. Okay, so guys, all right, so that's it for this chapter. Good luck on your homeworks. If you have any question, let me know. All right, bye-bye.